Hello, everybody. It's George from Ireland. So, welcome back to the channel. Anyway, so just more news out this morning that it seems that the Conservative Party is suicidal. Certainly, certain factions of it just really loony ideas. Some people in the Conservative Party just stark staring bonkers. I'm not talking about policies so much as is this desperate attempt to shore up the party when looks like the Conservative Unionist Party is facing a disastrous defeat. All right, all parties lose elections now and again, but this one looks like meltdown, being 25 points behind Labour, with the Reform UK breathing down the Conservatives' neck. And one opinion poll suggesting the Conservative Party would reduce just 98 MPs. Now, the way they do this is you look at all the 650 constituencies in the United Kingdom, and all right, the Conservatives don't stand in 19 of them, don't stand in the Speaker's seat, and they don't stand in the 18 seats in Northern Ireland, and see what percentage of the vote the Tories got last time, and then what percentage, what Labour, Lib Dems, SNP got, and the Tories bring them down how many points from last time, and see where would they be. They'd hold this seat or they'd lose this seat, and so on. And Labour, the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, whoever the principal challenger is putting them up or down according to where the opinion poll suggests them to be. Now, all right, there are various factors here which make this not a scientific exercise, because we're goodness knows how many months out from an election, at least two. If Sunak were to call it today, it wouldn't take place until early June. But it's more likely going to be November, December. So Harold Wilson, that celebrated Labour Prime Minister of the 60s and 70s, said, a week is a long time in politics. If a week is a long time, well, then 9 months is practically an eternity. So eons away, because anything can happen at backgammon. It's not all over until the results are in, because the economy could get better or worse. The Ukraine war could end or intensify or something like that. Or, Keir Starmer has a heart attack, or Sir Ed Davey is, consumed by some scandal, whatever. But yeah, what was I going to say? Ceteris paribus, the Conservatives are going to face a very heavy defeat. Remember, 1997 was a cataclysmic defeat for the Conservative Party, reduced to just 165 seats. And then William Hague came in, the dark horse candidate, stalking horse candidate, I think I should say, aged only 35, and led the party on to a very heavy defeat a year later. OK went up 1 percentage point and gained a grand total of 1 seat. It was pretty unlucky, because you think if there are 650 seats in Parliament, if you go up by 1 percentage point, you should go up by 6.5 seats. But anyway, that's not the way the cookie crumbles. So people think, well, carry on as you are now. We're going to face a very heavy defeat. We've got to take the risk, some sort of gamble, okay? And so this curveball idea of switching leader now, which I think is ludicrous and will be catastrophic. I know things are going to go badly for the Conservative Party under Rishi Sunak, but probably even worse under somebody else. Consider the other scenario: an attempt to unseat him goes off half-cocked, leaves him wounded but still on post. That would be even worse. So only do it if you're sure of a clean kill. And the idea is there'd be one candidate, he, or more likely she, would be elected unopposed and move on quickly. I don't see how this would change the agenda. Just because Sunak is unpopular, that doesn't suggest anyone else be even more popular. And Priti Patel is the one in the frame. Remember, 2 years ago, it was known in Conservative circles that she was quietly fundraising. It was noised she'd have a leadership bid later that year, which turned out to be fallacious. She might have actually been planning it in the summer 2022, but for whatever reason didn't try it when in July, when Boris Johnson tendered his resignation. She excluded herself from the contest. A strange decision. A Home Secretary seen as fairly successful, and let's face it, her sex and ethnicity would be considered as major assets. It's notable that of the top 5 candidates in the Conservative leadership leadership race, none was a white male, either non-white or not, or female. So Priti Patel, she's just the right age, fairly experienced, self-assured, ebullient. Many people think she's got crackpot ideas. It's just too right-wing. So anyway, I don't think she would quite have got it back then. She would have been a serious contender. I think less likely to get it now. And Liz Truss as chancellor. I mean, really, that is the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Has anyone heard of Liz Truss before? Anyone remember what she did in 2022? What she achieved in 49 days? making Labour enormously more popular, almost single-handedly wrecking the British economy and destroying the Conservative reputation of economic competence. The worst moment for the Tory party since Black Wednesday way back in 1993. So that is just staggeringly stupid, the idea she should come in as chancellor of all things. Anyway, she's announced she's standing down from her whatever it is, her Suffolk Southwest constituency at the next election, has been going around the world raking in the money, preaching her free market gospel, which proved to be really Armageddon for the Conservative Party. Wow, there really is something missing in her, a screw loose. How can somebody who's so intelligent, who's actually studied economics, get it so badly wrong? So that's why I think the Conservative Party, the only thing is to stick to the plan. Okay, not the Rwanda plan. That one's a non-starter, should have been recognised years ago. But stick with Rishi Sunak. Inflation come down, the economy speed up. An NHS waiting list is going to come down a bit. There are fewer strikes, certainly. I hope something's going to go wrong in Labour, the SNP, the Lib Dems, and obviously be defeated, but maybe not so badly as it looks at the moment. This is damage limitation, because 98 seats would be the worst result the Conservative Party has ever had. The 1997 result was down to 165 seats, was it? That was the worst result since 1832. The lowest number of Tory MPs in 165 years. And there's not quite proportionality to these things because of the first past the post system. Remember, the Tories then got 31% of the vote, 165 seats. Labour did lower in share of the vote way back in 1983 with 27% of the vote, but much better MPs, 209. And then when was it? When they did so badly under Corbyn, down to 28 was it 28% of the vote? Yes. There's something similar to that. But no, what am I talking about? Corbyn more recently got 32% of the vote under Corbyn, but rather more seats. 28% of the vote under Gordon Brown, and they had well over 200 seats. They were close to being able to form a coalition if everybody else joined the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, the Democratic Unionist Party, and so forth. So anyway, it really is silly season. So the party is moribund, and it's like a terminally ill patient. You tried all the treatments you possibly could, nothing's working. They say ADT, any damn thing. It can't make her worse. It might just make her better. So we'll just give it a shot and pray that some miracle will come to pass. But I don't think that's going to transpire. And yes, it could make it a little bit worse. I don't believe the worst prognostications for the Conservative Party down to 98 seats is going to be bad on the scale of 97. I used to think not quite as bad as 97. Now I'm beginning to think that it will be. The saving grace is that Keir Starmer is uncharismatic, but, they're being ultra cautious. And I can see why, because they remember the 1992 election, Labour's tax bombshell, that was used against them. So they're just not giving the Tories an inch. There's just no way the Conservatives can use that argument because they're so circumspect. They're going to stick to the Conservative spending plans. Labour are for the first 2 years. And in fact, they've been rather miserly, parsimonious. So they're not over-promising. I've got to hand it to them. They've been honest in that regard. What else? Or no triumphalism. They can't forget that Sheffield rally in 1992 when Neil Kinnock, then the Labour leader, was punching the air. We're all right. We're all right. We're all right. We better get some talking done here. And he was seen as too cocksure, taking the public for granted. So people burst his bubble. Now, Kinnock himself says it's a bit of a myth. That was so close to the election, almost everybody made up his or her mind, and it had a minimal impact on the psephology. So that wouldn't change voting behavior. But they realized they mustn't gloat. Yeah, they mustn't be prematurely overconfident. As was it Tony Blair said, it's like carrying a priceless Ming vase across a wet marble floor. You are holding something that's just incredibly precious. But one mistake and it's all smashed to smithereens. So they don't want their lead to be fractured like that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my channel. The so-called popular Conservatives who are behind this plot, popcorns, they are a misnomer because they're not popular at all. Just does seem to be like loony right wing. All right, thank you very much for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate on PayPal. Goodbye.